Welcome everybody. I'm Steve Jane, I'm head of the Central Clinical School, and I'm here on behalf of not only the Central Clinical School but also the School of Public Health and Preventative Medicine, which is the other Monash school on this campus, and also our precinct partners who are the Baker Institute and the Burnett Institute. And I'm going to talk to you for about 5 or 10 minutes to try and convince you that this is the site for you to come and do your honours year. And hopefully show you some of the advantages of being on this precinct and away from the mothership for a little while out at Clayton. We have some unique advantages here that they don't, and hopefully they're some of the things that might interest you to come here. So the program is going to follow the following format. After a brief introduction from me, we're going to have Amy Wilson, who's a former honours student and PhD student, to tell you of her wonderful life experience here and why you should emulate her path and come here as well. And then we're going to have Mark Wright, who's acting as the honours coordinator tonight, who's going to give you the nitty-gritty of how to apply for honours, in which stream, and link you into the website, student coordinators and so on. And then you can all go out and wander around. There's a lot of principal investigators here, a lot of students, and an opportunity really to go into all the clinical departments or those that interest you and engage with the scientists, look at some of the work that's presented on the posters, discuss projects specifically or just the general philosophy of the unit, and that'll help you make a decision as to which area you might like to work in. There's no shortage of choice. I mean, the school itself has a great deal of breadth in many clinical departments, and then of course we have the Baker, which has strength in cardiology, metabolism, the Burnett with infectious diseases, global health, and public health with epidemiology. So there's enormous choice and variety for you. I think you should all be able to find something that would potentially interest you. The second half of the talk of the evening will have a similar introduction, but this time from the School of Public Health, and they will also have an honours student and their honours coordinator to talk to you and take questions. That's me. So one key advantage that we think of coming to this precinct is that we truly are a translational precinct. So Clayton, in the School of Biomedical Science and other schools out there, does magnificent research, there's no question. But it's predominantly basic science research. And the thing they lack that we have is a 620-bed hospital right next door. So most of the heads of the units, academic units here, are also the heads of the clinical units within the hospital. They're professor directors of haematology, infectious diseases, trauma, surgery, you name it. And so they are true clinicians, but they also are key researchers. And the real premise on which the precinct is founded on is that we are trying to get our research to impact on patient care in the shortest possible time frame. And that's truly the definition of translational research, from bench to bedside and back again. And the proximity of the hospital gives us a unique access to that. So it's not only that you have access to clinicians and people who work with clinicians, but we also have access to patient samples and to the patients themselves. And most of the people on the precinct, all, whether they're clinicians or non-clinicians, all share the idea of they want their research to impact on how we manage our patients with a variety of illnesses in the shortest possible time frame. And we really think that's a pretty good reason to get out of bed and do research in the morning. This isn't something that may be of relevance in 20 years. We are looking for relevance in a very short time frame, and it's constantly reinforced by the patients we see with the diseases that they have, that we really know that many of them are suffering and we want to make an impact, and this is what we're trying to do. So as I said, there's enormous breadth within the school in a wide variety of clinical academic departments. Some through the Central Clinical School, some through the School of Public Health, and some through the Medical Research Institute partners that we have. But as I said, whether your interest be in anaesthetics or infectious diseases or psychiatry or immunology, blood, pathology, surgery, trauma, asthma, allergy, I'm sure of gastroenterology, you name it, the departments are here. The only thing we don't have, and if you're here for either obstetrics and gynecology or paediatrics, then you're in the wrong room, because neither of those disciplines are on this precinct. But just about everything else we can cover. The school has recently recruited a big group in diabetes, who's one of our new groups, and we have another new group starting at the end of this year who we've recruited from the other side of the river, a huge group of neuroscientists, 70 in total, who work on epilepsy, stroke, multiple sclerosis, brain trauma and so on. So that's another possibility for you if neurosciences are your bent. Baker, a world-class institution in cardiovascular research and metabolism, and the Burnett, also internationally renowned in infectious diseases and global health. And School of Public Health, also an outstanding school here with clinical trials, wonderful emergency medicine trials, epidemiology, also with global health, health promotion, and many other aspects to that school. So there really is an incredibly broad range for you from basic science. You can be at the bench, you can be working with animal models, you can be working with patients in clinical studies, doing trials, epidemiology, just about any aspect of research you can do here, but all with that unique focus on trying to drive discovery into clinical benefit. So essentially, from the Central Clinical School viewpoint, and the School of Public Health will talk about their offerings later, we have two honours streams. We have had a traditional immunology honours stream for many years, and that's been a very popular stream. The immunology department at the Central Clinical School heads the entire immunology program for Monash. So irrespective of where you might want to do an immunology honours year, you enrol through the immunology program here. And then all the other clinical disciplines are covered in our human pathology honours, and the coordinators of both of those are listed, and Mark will provide you some information about enrolling into those two distinct streams. If you want to do your honours with School of Public Health in all the areas that they cover, then the education group from that school will be talking to you, I think, at 7 o'clock. So in addition to what we offer that's unique in terms of the proximity to the hospital, we also offer one of the most beautiful precincts, we think, particularly in Melbourne, because we have proximity to Albert Park Lake, Chapel Street with fantastic shopping, Paran Market, Faulkner Park, many beautiful things in the area, and we'll work you hard, but we'll give you some time that you can enjoy the fruits that surround the precinct. And I always like to contrast these sorts of offerings with the photos that I show with the beautiful offerings at Clayton, which are largely factories, burnt out cars and highways. But some people would like that experience, and if that's what you want, like obstetrics, you're in the wrong place. But if you're interested in a vibrant precinct with access to many things around you, it's not a bad place to come. I think there is a lot of uncertainty about, you've been at Monash, you're comfortable with the precinct and so on, and there's a worry about leaving the precinct. It's a very, very vibrant honours program here. We have a vast number of honours students who often form quite a good little clique or cadre of students. There's a lot of camaraderie amongst the students here. It's not a tiny group by any stretch of the imagination. So you'll have plenty of support, plenty of people to talk to, plenty of people to go and have coffee with, etc. So you don't have to feel there's going to be a sense of isolation from the main campus. We've got a big enough entity of students here that you'll feel well and truly part of a broader experience. So as I said, we like to go from mouse to house. This slide's getting a bit dated now that house has disappeared off our television screens, much to my disappointment. But I think, as I said, that's really what we see as a compelling reason for you to come, where your research really has an opportunity to make a difference in a short term to the human condition. So with that, I will just segue slightly, and that the other reason that we get you here is not only to interest you in honours, but obviously from our viewpoint, we love you to go on and do PhDs. And we understand that the career pathway for PhD students these days is a little confronting. We all know that the funding model is difficult in Australia, worldwide even, and that the number of pure fellowships in research schemes are reasonably limited. And so a number of years ago, the clinical schools all got together to design a new PhD course that we think upskills you for something more than just a traditional pathway into the NHMRC fellowship programs. And this PhD scheme gives you introduction to a wide variety of tools that might be useful for you in careers other than a traditional NHMRC fellowship scheme, which we think has a relatively contracting lifespan. And these things include clinical trials, so you could work in pharma or in biotech, commercialisation, presentation of work, so it gives you opportunities in media, as I said, commercialisation, which could open legal firms for you. So there's a different set of skills that you could potentially acquire from a PhD. You still do the PhD within a laboratory or a clinical group that you choose, but these skills are tacked on, and so at the end of it you're potentially a bit more marketable than just a traditional research stream. So that's something for you all to think of. Obviously, most of you at this point have even come to grips with doing honours, so this is probably a bit premature, but just file it away somewhere to have a think about down the line, that if you do go on, do well in your honours and think about converting into a PhD, this is an opportunity for you.
Thank you.